In the Midwest, Democratic candidates face what may be the decisive primaries in their quest for the White House. This is NBC Nightly News, reported by Garrett Utley. Good evening. Officially, the presidential primary trail has more than 2 months to run, but in fact, the race for the Democratic nomination could be all but over after the voting on Tuesday in Illinois and Michigan if, and the name of that big if is Bill Clinton. If he wins in both states, it'll be hard for his opponents to stop him. In Chicago, Andrea Mitchell is following the campaign. Andrea?
Garrett, boosted by his Super Tuesday victories, Bill Clinton is far ahead in the Midwest. Paul Tsongas is faltering, and Jerry Brown might produce a big surprise.
Running a campaign for president to challenge
Brown proved again tonight that he is the campaign guerrilla warrior in the last debate before Tuesday's voting.
He is funneling money to his wife's law firm for state business, and it's the kind of conflict of interest that is incompatible in the kind of public servant we expect from a president.
It doesn't sound like you could run as his vice president.
But you ought to be ashamed of yourself for jumping on my wife. You're not worth being on the same platform.
I'll tell you something, Mr. Clinton. Don't try to escape it. Ralph Nader called me this afternoon. He read me the article for the Washington Post.
Does that make it true?
I was shocked by it. I was shocked by it.
I never funnel any money to my wife's law firm. Never.
Could I get a word in edgewise here in this debate?
It was a day for ethnic politics, Chicago style. The candidates courted so many different ethnic groups, it's a wonder they didn't try to eat their shamrocks and wear their bagels.
I'm a bagel freak.
The giant bagel was squeezed between visits to black churches, targets of opportunity for all three candidates.
You're very kind to have me here on such a wonderful day. And if I don't become president, I'm going to run for bishop.
I need your help. Oh, Tuesday, God bless you, and thank you.
So far this year, black turnout has been low, but those who have voted have chosen Clinton. Brown went after Clinton today on civil rights and his labor record.
You can hug all the ministers you want, and they can hug you back. But as long as you're encouraging the fast track to move jobs to Mexico, it's not going to do anything for the people of this community.
Brown has been tapping into the anger of frightened auto workers in Michigan. Labor is suspicious of Tsongas and won't change his pro-business message, even when meeting with laid-off workers.
We need something to solve the problem now, not 4, 5, or 6 years down the road.
Well, let me tell you, there are no magic bullets.
Tsongas also opposes one of Labor's top priorities in Congress, legislation to stop strikers from being replaced. It's one reason why Tsongas could slip behind Brown in Michigan.
Even though I had a 90% labor record, it's what have you done to me lately?
Clinton has some union endorsements, but others are suspicious of his record in Arkansas, a right-to-work state, giving Brown an opening.
They call me Governor Moonbeam. But if that's all they call me, I'm much more electable than Mr. Bill Clinton will ever be.
Some powerful Michigan leaders are trying to stop Clinton by supporting Brown or remaining uncommitted. But so far, Clinton seems headed for big victories in Michigan and Illinois. Garrett?
Thanks, Andrew Mitchell. So what determines a winning campaign? Well, there is, of course, the candidate. Issues may play a role, who knows? And then there is money. In an effort to limit influence over candidates, individual contributions are limited to $1,000. Lisa Myers looks at who's giving and who's getting.
In politics, money follows power. When George Bush decided it was time to build his campaign war chest last year, he raised a whopping $10 million in only 2 months, a big chunk of it at this dinner in Houston. An analysis by NBC News and USA Today shows that Bush, like many presidents, is raising lots of money from fat cats. Last year, 76% of Bush's money came in $1,000 contributions, while challenger Pat Buchanan got only 26% of his money from big givers. On the Democratic side, the favorite of fat cats was Bill Clinton, who got 41% of his war chest in $1,000 contributions, compared to 31% for Paul Tsongas. A close look at the campaign records of all the candidates also reveals that more than half the contributors are not disclosing their occupations or employers as required by law.
The key tenet of campaign finance law is disclosure of who pays for campaigns and how much. And without the employer identification information, we really don't know who the individuals are who are supporting particular campaigns.
Still, we can conclude one thing. With the possible exception of Jerry Brown, everyone is receiving money from special interests.
certainly troubling to the American public, who sense that elected officials are more responsive to those who pay for their campaigns.
Clinton, in particular, has reason to be grateful. He already has raised twice as much money as Tsongas, and now that he looks like a winner, the money is pouring in.
A lot of the traditional people have offered their services now and want to be involved in the winning campaigns.
Anyone who says money isn't everything should talk to Paul Tsongas, who has little of it. Money enabled Bill Clinton to pay for the organization and TV ads that helped do heavy damage to Tsongas last week and may all but put him away on Tuesday. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
Of course, the big money story in politics right now is the case of those bouncing checks in Congress. Members of the House are explaining or trying to explain to their voters just how it happened. And with us now is Representative Edward Feehan, Democrat from Ohio. Congressman, thanks for coming in this evening. You have on record, you're high on the list of those with overdrawn checks, 397 by the count that we have received. How do you explain that to your constituents?
Well, actually, as you'll see from subsequent lists that will be put out in the next few weeks, that there are probably dozens of members with that or more in overdrawn checks. And what I think that we have to do across the country is explain that the characterization of these checks as bounce checks or bad checks is simply an inaccuracy, except in a very limited number of circumstances. And I think that my circumstances are typical of what a lot of members are going through. In the 10 years that I had an account at that so-called bank, I never once had a bad check. I never once had a bounce check, and I never once had any type of notification from the House Bank or any of its officials that I was beyond the overdraft allowance of the account.
Well, Congressman, where did these 397 checks come from? That's the figure that's been given out.
Those are, in each instance, overdrawn checks against an allowable overdraft in the account. Each member who was in the House Bank was told that when they deposited their check, they would not receive interest on that account, there would be no tax dollars involved, that there would be no insurance of that account, and that they had an overdraft allowance up to the value of their next paycheck because that was automatically deposited into the account. These numbers that we're seeing, by and large, are simply a catalog of the number of checks written against an overdraft allowance on a month-by-month basis.
All right, Congress, you've given a very detailed, technical explanation, but given the tenor, the mood of so many of the constituents, the anger that is out there, what's that going to mean for you come November and Election Day?
Well, I think it means a lot of difficulty in going through the process of, as you say, a long, technical, laborious explanation, which has to be done, because the frenzy that has developed over this issue has been a frenzy created because of inaccuracies, because of calling overdraft checks that are bounced or bad checks. Now, what is at the heart of it, though, is clearly a voter frustration and anger with the Congress, a feeling that it is a privileged class, a group of people who do not have to face reality of the problems of a real daily life.
Would you say that's a fair assessment?
That is a fair assessment in a large respect. I mean, certainly no average American could have a bank account where they would have an overdraft that was without penalty, an overdraft that did not have a monthly fee attached. Now, some would argue that that's not a large perk, but nevertheless, it does separate the Congress, and has for 150 years, actually, in this case, from the mainstream of the American people.
Okay, but Congressman, coming back to this basic issue, and that is public perceptions, do you feel that you, Congressman Feehan, have been victimized in this?
Very much so, although I have to say that I feel very much a sense of responsibility for handling my own accounts. But clearly where we have a management of an institution, the so-called House Bank, where members' deposits were not recorded in some instances for up to 10 days, well, it would be predictable then that members would find themselves in very embarrassing situations. I think that I have to address that. I have to deal frankly with that with my constituency. They're a fair-minded group of people, as I believe Americans are, and as they hear the details of this story over the next few weeks, I think that they'll be able to come to honest and valid judgments about it.
Well, Congressman, thank you for being with us. We noted you won the last election, I think, by with 70% of the vote. You do have a strong base there. Again, we will see what happens come November. And again, thanks for being with us this evening. Congressman Edward Feehan. And as we cover our world this Sunday, we'll go next to Turkey, where another earthquake has struck.
Capel, going through the roof. Right. Just came in for research. Red hot, my friend. Cannot lose.
It's not time to sell. It's time to buy.
The #1 call I'm making. Now,
you want to buy it after it goes up? You want to make money or you want to play bingo?
Not only as a customer, but as a friend, okay? And that's from the heart. Is Tegrin shampoo on sale?
Nope, that's their new lower price.
But it's still just as tough on dandruff, right?
Sure, Tegrin doesn't do less, just costs less.
Sounds right to me.
Tegrin, the right dandruff shampoo at the right price. There's constipation and there's constipation. Oh, yeah. When it's this bad, take it to the max. New Maximum Relief Formula X-Lax pills with 50% more X-Lax medicine for maximum relief. Oh, yeah. Take it to the max.
Paradise surrounds me. There's no place like this on land. All my cares there behind me. The world's in my command.
One cruise line has been named best in passenger satisfaction 10 years in a row. Royal Caribbean, the grand resorts of the 7 seas.
The real problem with heartburn isn't putting it out, it's keeping it out. Introducing new Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. It doesn't just stop the burning, it actually helps keep it from coming back. New Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. It could start in your office, in your home, over lunch. But now, wherever heartburn starts, this is where it ends. Introducing new Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. No ordinary antacid works like this one to put out heartburn.
It happened yet again today in eastern Turkey, a second earthquake, a big one, the second in 3 days. As many as 800 people were killed in the first quake. In Ankara, we have this report from our correspondent, Dennis Murphy.
The second earthquake tonight was a big one, 6-point on the Richter scale. People rode it out in the safety of the open streets. The buildings in Erzincan are cracked and leaning, anything over 3 stories flattened. Today, 2 days after the first jolt, volunteers picked through the rubble looking for survivors pinned beneath the debris. Sniffer dogs led by Swiss experts are searching for victims. Now more are found dead than alive. Hundreds are missing. A British team put their own lives on the line tunneling through broken buildings. A false move could bring it all down.
We're working here and going up in through the ceiling. You can see the one man of the family here.
Temperatures have been below freezing, and virtually everyone is living outside in fear of more aftershocks like the one that hit tonight. Tonight's earthquake was felt through hundreds of miles of eastern Turkey. Morning's light will reveal the damage and suffering it caused. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Ankara.
And not far from there in what used to be the southern Soviet Union, the fighting continues between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Today, a tentative ceasefire agreement was signed, and what is interesting here is that it was signed in Tehran. Iran has been a mediator in the dispute over the region in Azerbaijan known as Nagorno-Karabakh. Jim Maseda has the report.
The hatred is centuries old, but the weapons ultra-modern. The conflict between Christian Armenia and Muslim Azerbaijan is no longer just an ethnic or religious feud, it is all-out war. And it is spreading across the Commonwealth's southwestern rim, not only in Armenia and Azerbaijan, but in Moldova as well. Conflict has turned to chaos and death. Thousands have been killed or wounded, often women and children. Tens of thousands on both sides, homeless. Many see here the collapse of a Commonwealth few ever believed would work.
If conflicts like this cannot be resolved, it makes the whole structure weak. I mean, it makes the whole structure look very superficial.
Between Armenians and Azeris, no ceasefire has held. The battle over this land, Nagorno-Karabakh, an enclave claimed by both its inhabitants, Armenians, and its ruler by law, Azerbaijan. But that was Soviet law. Since the breakup of the Soviet Union, fighting between these two newly independent states has raged on. Under an iron-fisted Kremlin, these people were forced to get along. The Red Army kept the peace. Today, with no central government giving orders, the Commonwealth forces are helpless and isolated.
The army has pledged allegiance to Boris Yeltsin, president of Russia. We defend only Russian interests, so we are trying to be neutral here.
But since January, hundreds of Commonwealth soldiers have been killed or wounded, their weapons bought or stolen. What's at stake is more than a Commonwealth. Though free, all of the former Soviet republics are still closely bound economically. And troubles in the South could stymie Yeltsin's reforms here at home. Defenders of a strong Russia, like Vice President Alexander Rutskoy, say it's high time to cut losses. And that scares millions of Russians living in former republics like Moldova. Here, a minority fearing discrimination, Russians have formed their own breakaway republic. More bloodshed, and again, the former Soviet army just watches. Independence has unleashed nationalist fervor bottled up for decades under communism. Many fear it will soon spread to Mother Russia, itself a patchwork of ethnic groups tasting freedom for the first time. Freedom that has a heavy price. Jim Maceda, NBC News, Moscow.
And we now have a Soviet spy story that can be finally told. The former head of the KGB in Italy says he had a spy working inside the Vatican. General Boris Salamatin says it wasn't easy to penetrate the church and adds that the spy was never discovered and he, or she, may still be working there.
In over 1 out of 2 homes in America, people count on Kenmore appliances. Like this huge 21 cubic foot Kenmore refrigerator with adjustable shelves. Just $18 a month now at Sears Brand Central.
Tylenol users discover a powerful name in aspirin-free pain relief.
It took away my headache. Aspirin-free Anacin worked as well as Tylenol.
Like Tylenol, aspirin-free Anacin is 100% aspirin-free acetaminophen, so it's gentle on your stomach.
Now I have a choice.
One measure of quality in a car is how quiet it is. And you might be surprised to find out who builds the car that's the quietest. Holographic imaging actually lets one company see the smallest noise and get rid of it. It's just one of the many ways we're using technology to engineer quality at Ford Motor Company.
Our quality is paying off. From the Ford Escort to the quietest car you can buy, the Lincoln Town Car.
Ford Motor Company. Quality is job one. It's working.
Hot coffee and steak in front of strangers at 30,000 feet? Not till I switched. Now I fix it and forget it.
That's good. When people are watching you this closely, you just can't be worried about your dentures. That's why I Fix-A-Dent and forget it.
Fix-A-Dent holds stronger than any other adhesive. It even stands up to the hottest liquids.
Sister, Grandpa? He never would have tried this with his old adhesive.
For the strongest hold you can get, Fix-A-Dent and forget it.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered the 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
For decades, he has been at the center, the heart of politics in Jamaica. For many years, he irritated American administrations and presidents for his friendship with Fidel Castro. And today, Prime Minister Michael Manley said he will retire at the end of this month because of poor health. Turning to South Africa, and a major decision is coming there. On Tuesday, whites will vote on whether to continue reforms which could cost them their political power over blacks. Blacks are not allowed to vote in this referendum. In South Africa, Charles McLean shows us what is at stake.
With just days to go before the referendum, blacks are killing each other in the townships. The African National Congress claims conservative whites in the security forces are inciting violence to discredit reform and panic whites into voting no on Tuesday's referendum. A spectator at a Soweto soccer match today thought the strategy might be working.
There's a lot of a sense of insecurity among the white people that if blacks take over, there's going to be anarchy.
But at a local shebeen, an informal bar, blacks threaten civil war if whites vote to turn back the clock on reform. Danley McClare isn't preparing for war. She's just trying to hang on to what she's got. The repeal of some apartheid laws by the de Klerk government made it possible for Danley to move to a mixed-race neighborhood and for her daughters to go to a multiracial school. What white voters decide on Tuesday will affect her future.
Because if it's no, then we have to move out, and our kids have to go out from their schools, you see? That's the thing that makes us to panic and cross our fingers that, oh my God, it must be yes.
At a breakfast meeting in Johannesburg, Nelson Mandela told reporters that whatever the results of the referendum, there would be no going back to apartheid.
We will reject any attempt to invest the white minority with the power of deciding the future of this country.
If whites vote yes on the referendum, blacks will continue to fight for their rights at the negotiating table. But if whites vote against reform, blacks say they'll take their struggle for freedom to the streets. Charles McLean, NBC News, Soweto.
And now to this country and Assignment Earth. The federal government has a multi-billion-dollar fund to clean up the environment. No problem. Everyone agrees it's a job worth doing. But a government study has found that the money is being used for more than just cleaning up, although you might say someone is cleaning up. Here's Henry Champ in Washington.
The Superfund has $15 billion, but in the last 10 years, fewer than 70 sites from a list of 1,200 have been cleaned up. CH2M Hill of Denver has hundreds of millions of dollars of Superfund contracts. Buried in its billings are $147,000 for parties and picnics, $6,800 for alcohol, $29,000 for coffee. Thousands are spent at sporting events, a trip to Egypt, and an estimated $16 million on employee bonuses.
It's an incentive for good performance. So we think that by doing that, the clients that we have, and that includes the government, will receive better work.
Those bonus charges are criticized in this EPA report and in Congress.
They have also structured a rather creative way of, I think, double billing the taxpayers for personnel cost.
Among Hill's projects is the Stringfellow chemical dump cleanup in California. 14 years of studies, and still nearby residents can't use local water. Their school may be closed, and farmers mysteriously lose animals.
The EPA doesn't even know what's going on here, except from what CH2M Hill tells them.
Private contractors charge enormous overhead. Hill's charge is $1.70 for every dollar that's spent in actual cleanup. EPA admits to poor accounting, but says that will change.
If we have wasted millions of dollars, and if it's due to contractors being greedy, then we go after it and get it.
Congress believes EPA's Superfund abuses are widespread. Hill is the first contractor to be investigated, but there will be more. Henry Champ, NBC News, Washington.
And some business news this evening. Chrysler Corporation says its chairman, Lee Iacocca, will hold a news conference tomorrow. It's expected his successor will be named then. Iacocca has headed Chrysler since 1978. And next, the mystery of Amelia Earhart.
For cleaning, shining, and disinfecting, nothing outperforms us in the bathroom. Dow Bathroom Cleaner, starring Scrubbing Bubbles. We work hard, so you don't have to.
Promise Extra Light Spread. Half the saturated fat and calories of margarine and a taste you'll enjoy with all your heart.
You make me feel so young.
Promise Extra Light. Get heart smart.
Think about your daily dreams and what you would do if you won $1 million out of the blue. Miracles can happen for you. Publishers Clearinghouse, the house where dreams come true.
Her name is Sarah, and she's lucky, because today she'll encounter egrets doing dances and alligators in the wild. She'll see how other moms take care of their kids. And she'll be doing this, recycling, through a program of the National Park Service and its recycling partner, Dow.
We can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Together with the National Park Service and folks like Sarah.
Dow lets you do great things.
For painful gas, which would you choose? Your antacid or Gas-X, the tablet made for gas? It's extra strength, 100% simethicone to fight gas faster. Faster than your antacid. Fight gas right with Gas-X.
Whirlpool thinks a great range would do its job virtually undetected, solidly built to work for years without any undue attention. If you want a range so well built you don't have to think about it, think about Whirlpool.
Introducing Maxwell House Light. It tastes as rich as Maxwell House coffee, but only has half the caffeine. So rich, you'll just think of it as Maxwell House. New Maxwell House Light. All the rich taste, half the caffeine.
And time now to look at some of the stories that will be making news this coming week. Friday is President Bush's deadline for Congress to pass an economic stimulation bill that he wants, but don't hold your breath. Passage of that is unlikely. In California, the prosecution expects to rest its case in the Los Angeles police brutality trial. Beating victim Rodney King may testify. And the search group, which claims to have solved the mystery over the disappearance of aviator Amelia Earhart, says it will offer proof at a Washington news conference tomorrow. And its evidence points to a small island lost in the vastness of the South Pacific. It is one of the most remote places on Earth, a tiny atoll in the Pacific, just south of the equator. It is brutally hot here. There is no fresh water. There are giant land crabs on shore, and in the water, barracuda and sharks. No one lives here today, and no one lived here 54 years ago when, it is believed, Amelia Earhart ditched her plane on the reef off Gardner Island. Amelia Earhart was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, the first woman to fly across the United States, and the first person to fly from Hawaii to the American mainland. She was given 2 ticker tape parades in New York City. But for Earhart, one final challenge remained. She wanted to fly around the world at the equator. It had never been done before. She and navigator Fred Noonan made it all the way to New Guinea and then set off for the longest non-stop leg of the flight. Their target was Howland Island, a speck of land in the South Pacific. Rick Gillespie has been investigating the mystery for years and has traced the final hours of Earhart's flight. This leg of the flight from New Guinea across the Pacific was the most dangerous one.
Because of distance and because of the target they had to hit.
It's daylight?
It's daylight. She's got maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes of fuel left. She sees an island, Gardner Island. She has to land. There is a reef flap. We think she did land the airplane with the wheels down, and that the airplane remained on that reef flat for at least 3 days.
Navy ships, including the battleship Colorado, were sent on what was called then the biggest air-sea search ever. 3 catapult planes did fly over Gardner Island 1 week after Earhart and Noonan had disappeared. The pilots were looking for a downed plane, which Gillespie believes had been swept off the reef days earlier by high tides. And it's likely that after a week without water, Earhart and Noonan would have been too weak to signal. Perhaps they were already dead. Well, tomorrow, Rick Gillespie and his team will present their new evidence found on that uninhabited island in the Pacific. There are 2 parts to it, a piece of the fuselage from what they have now determined was the plane, Earhart's plane, and also a woman's lace-up shoe from the 1930s, size 9, complete with eyelets. Amelia Earhart wore lace-up shoes on her flight. They were size 9. And that is our look at our world this Sunday. Tom Brokaw will be reporting here tomorrow night. I'm Garrett Utley. Good night for all of us at NBC News.